Hello everybody, and here we are on Valentine's Day. Let's go over to full screen to me. Welcome everyone, Croeso. Right, in honour of Valentine's, we're going to have something romantic on. Fire away. I'm on the narrow camera, I'll have to move it your way. Bit of tango. Oh. Da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Evening all. Yeah, where's your hat on? Yay! Well done, Arnie B. Thank you very much, everyone. Evening all. My goodness.
I'm actually going to go hunt for the hat.
You're going to hunt for the hat. Where's the hat gone? So whoever said that, we now lost Arnie. Now he's going to look for the hat. So thank you very much. Wow, loads of people online, everyone. So welcome, new and old. I can see familiar faces, well, names. Alan Rees, thank you very much. We'll be coming back to you in a second, Alan. Steve Frankham, Norstar, everyone. Hello, welcome. Andrew, Gavin, Rhythmistic. Right, there we go. The log-ons are happening now. Give everyone a couple of minutes. And wow, tonight, which camera am I looking at? I got two cameras because we're going to do a live interview with Bob Morgan. Here comes Arnie. Here we are. Well done, Arnie. And Bob, you'll know I used to call him Gandalf because of his big white beard, but the big white beard is gone. And I can see him in the corner of my screen, but you can't see him. So he's going to be getting ready soon. And what happened was we started talking about Sutton Hoo. Obviously, that program came on called The Dig. Oh, I'm being brought food. Thank you very much. A little bit awkward right now. And a cup of tea. Thank you. Oh, we've got to love live, haven't you? You can say hello, boys.
Hello.
Because the camera's on. I'm on narrow camera because the other camera's on the...
Hello.
Yeah, I think you're on. We got a lag, haven't we? Wow, we got a massive lag. There we go. Anyway, there's the Honest Abby. Hello, everyone. We got talking about a few things we're going to talk about. And Bob and I... well, the day's gone, really, because we started chatting and covered loads of stuff. And Bob's done loads of research on Sutton Hoo. And as you know, there was a big reaction last week to when I put another video up challenging this idea that Sutton Hoo is Anglo-Saxon and asking people to prove it. I've got a whole series of videos I was going to do going through each piece of evidence. And then Bob and I are going to talk about something else. Things to do with the other thing that's been big this week. What was it going to be? Oh yeah, Bob's done a lot of research on what's called a Roman castle in Ireland. Just outside Dublin, which can't really be Roman. It's British, so we're going to do that. But then, Bob got digging into the Sutton Hoo stuff, and he's found out so much, which is just amazing, and things I never knew about. So we're going to talk about that. So he's on standby. I'm going to try and do it with Zoom. We can open things up with Zoom if this works, and I get the hang of it. But I do need to mention a few other things first. So Bob doesn't mind holding on because it's been such a busy week. It's been, wow, crazy busy. So much happening. And hang on a second. So I'm going to whiz through these as quickly as possible. So you might have to actually do a kind of, let's check. Screen share working. I'm going to have to hope it does. Oh, let's have a quick look. Just make double sure. Yes, it is screen sharing, I think. Right, okay. Oh, hang on. Am I on the right? I've confused myself now. There we go. It was all looking slick and professional. No, it never does it? Right, okay. So, there's one. I'll have to come back to this at the end if I got time. Just take the link off your screen, come back later. It's yet another place which has just been ploughed through a load of archaeology. We'll talk about that another time. Someone else I might try and come back to, who is not really our period. It's not really ancient history and stuff. But this is Alfred Russel Wallace, who I had never heard of. He came up in the chat during the week, and he's the one who actually inspired a lot of Darwin's ideas. Now, why did he sort of vanish from history? It's very strange. There we are, he's a Welsh boy, so we'll talk about him soon. I'll try and come back to these today. Oh yeah, Megalithomania, where's the graphics gone? There's supposed to be a big advert there with a picture of my face in the middle of it.
Oh, that one. For this year.
Yeah, because if you know, I was supposed to speak at last year's Megalithomania, organised by Hugh Newman, and then COVID kicked in, it all got cancelled. So this year it will be online, and there's supposed to be an advert there. Oh God, what dates is it? Oh, May the 8th, 9th, I think. I'll stick it up anyway, and you can get tickets. Online conference, looks really good. In some ways, it's never better than meeting people face to face, is it? But it's nice in a way that the numbers are unrestricted, and wherever you are in the world, you can follow it, and there's some great speakers. Right, now, another piece of exciting news. For those of you who watch Rich Planet, big fans, I know there's loads of people on here watch it, and a lot of us came across Wilson and Blackett for the first time by watching Rich Planet and seeing the links to Wilson and Blackett stuff. And one of the things I want to be talking about, and I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, I hope everyone can hear me okay, is this idea of what I modestly call...
We can hear you fine.
Thank you, Arnie. What I modestly call my history of everything, which starts off with when the Earth was formed, how it's formed, what it's made out of, explains the great floods, how ices move around, why populations had to shift, why possibly the people of Britain started there, had to move out and then move back again, all this kind of stuff. And also the age of the Earth might be a lot less than is commonly given, rather than millions of years. And you've got to see Bob in the corner as well, hope he realises. It's thousands of years, in my view, and anyway. So, if you follow Rich Planet, you will know that the guests... what I need to do is make sure everyone watches this video, because on Thursday, the guy here on the right... You can't see my cursor, can you? That's weird. Why can't you see my cursor? No, you can't.
Yeah, it's flashing around there.
Oh, okay, good. The guy on the right there, Andrew Johnson, who I'm a huge fan of, and I've been in correspondence on and off with for quite a while, because he's just brilliant. Scientist, presenter. He's known for his blue fleecy top. What's the adjective Richard uses? If you know, don't say it, alright? It's a family show. But he's a great presenter. And this I'd like everyone to go to Rich Planet, please, and watch this formation of planets. It's a few years old. I've watched it loads of times. I think it's brilliant. Gave me a lot of inspiration for my ideas. It does tie in with history when I'm going to talk about it again, because Andrew Johnson, exciting news is he's going to come on the show and do an interview. I do a special interview with Andrew on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Thursday 18th live. So when I say interview, a conversation. But it's going to make an awful lot more sense if you see the thing about the formation of planets first, and how the Earth is formed and what it's made out of. So I'm really excited to get Andrew on. He's brilliant. And one of the things I'm going to do is he's going to be able to... I explained to him already some ideas about the things I've just mentioned. And we're going to watch Andrew, one by one, take them apart and explain why it's rubbish. Or not. He's a nice guy, but it's okay to disagree on things. So he's still going for millions of years theory. But you'll notice, watch that video about planets forming, because it all ties in with the migrations. Well, at least I think it does. And I think the Great Flood and a few other things. All right, and I hope you can join us on Thursday. And also, Andrew Johnson has written a book which you can get free, okay? You can buy the book. All his stuff is like really cheap. I don't know how he does it. He does stuff like 50p and postage and things. I think obviously the book costs a bit more than that. But you can go onto the website, follow the links I've shown on the screen, and you can get a free download, a PDF. So I'm going to be trying to work my way through that as well by Thursday. I know if I say the P word, I know Angie just glazes over and lots of other people. So not too much physics or maths. Thursday, I'm going to do it from a history of the world perspective, not from a physics perspective, okay? So please, I'm very excited. So I have 2 big star guests in a week. We got Bob tonight and then Andrew on Thursday, all right? Now, another thing I want people to keep an eye on, I need some help with this. This is Coity Castle, possibly my favourite castle in Wales. It's been very difficult to get to visit it because Mandy McCourt found out the reason why is they're going to be refurbing it or restoring it and putting things in. So hopefully this is a good story and Caddo are actually doing what they should be doing, and it's great to hear it. I don't see any mention anywhere that this is a Welsh castle. That's a shame. But what I like people to do, if you're in Bridgend or nearby Coity Castle, film as much as you can. I'm going to try and go up there. I don't live too far away. And film as much of it as possible. Because I'm really worried because there's certain sections of the castle you can be seen to be old Welsh stonework as opposed to the later Norman additions and repairs, okay? So, let's just make sure we get everything on record and make sure nothing's lost. And if you look at some of those towers and that, it does look a little bit dangerous and precarious, I have to admit. So I can understand them doing work, and good, hope it goes well. Okay, just quickly, like I said, I'll try and come back to these at the end, although when Bob and I start talking, time disappears. So I better mention the news things quickly first. Right, this is another really scary story, which ties in with Stonehenge. Because that's the other thing Bob and I are going to talk about, is the story that was done during the week on the BBC about the Stonehenge, the first one being in Wales. As I'm saying, it's been a really busy couple of weeks. For some reason, archaeology and history is really in the news at the moment, and it's hitting a load of our stories. The big one being, I hope you saw it, saying that the research there is that Stonehenge was first built in Pembroke and then moved to Salisbury. Now, there are different theories about that. Bob's followed this for decades, and hopefully we'll get on to that, where there's competing theories about how it got there. Okay? But also, what I was a bit upset about, but disappointed about, was that there's been 2 of my heroes, Alexander Thom, who studies megalithic buildings and stones and why they're there and how it works with astronomy, stuff like that. He was never mentioned. Neither was Robin Heath, and they've been doing decades of work on Stonehenge, with Alexander Thom going way back to 60s and 70s. So disappointing not to see him get mentioned, or any of what's called, I'm going to get this right, astroarchaeology, which is looking at how things are designed to line with the stars. Okay, so it's busy week. The other project, I want some help on this one. I know Michelle's out there. Is Expat online? I'm sure Michelle's there. Any other people who can do Welsh translations, which is normally done as Expat. Oh, I can't see her there. Michelle's not there. Anyway, Michelle will probably watch it on catch-up. 2 things. This is trailing stuff for future shows, okay? Is that we're going to look at doing a proper Sanskrit to Welsh comparison. Do some more research on that. Found this list of words. I had to slow down, don't I? I'm so excited about our live chat. And there's another project which came up, conversation with Bob. We want Welsh speakers, because what we're going to do is revisit Yolo Morganwg. I think Bob and I will say a few words about that, hopefully. Bob has done research from one direction, looking at how he came to be, hammered, really, and described as a fraud and a forger. And we want to do more research on that side. I've been coming from the other side, trying to look how Coldbrook works as a language. And hopefully I can produce a book similar to Cymroglyphics. Oh, which reminds me, it should be back from the printers any day. I hope to be here for this weekend, and I'll be sending them out. I don't know if bad weather delayed it or something, but it should be any day now. So last chance, get your pre-orders in. Right. Rosetta Stone. Oh my goodness. In our time on BBC One, all the links are on the screen, okay? I'm not clever enough so you can just copy them, but if you missed it, the Rosetta Stone was discussed on Thursday morning on, what's it called, In Our Time. I keep calling it with Lord Smugness, but that's not very nice. And one of the things I want to get back to is I've got a theory, not based on nothing, that the Rosetta Stone in the British Museum is actually a fake. Sure, we'll talk about that soon. There's one for you to think about. So watch some background on that. And look at this. This is why I've had to jump through all these slides, because this is awesome.
Yeah, truly awesome.
Yeah, Arnie's a huge well done. Alan Rees has handmade absolutely stunning swords. They're absolutely beautiful wooden swords. You can see there, this one is a gift for me. I don't know if they've all got the Rossi bit on them or the Cymroglyphic symbol. I've also got some that are going to come up for a chance for you to win them in raffles or bid for them. And they're absolutely fantastic. Yeah, they've all got the Cymroglyphics on them. There we are, we've got the Pro Anima Artorius, which is fantastic. These swords, and then you've got the Colbra on the other ones, which I think says Britain's Hidden History, I believe. Yes, I think so. So, I mean, how beautiful are they? So, I'm just with enormous thanks for this wonderful gift and the chance for people in the Britain's Hidden History group to get hold of their own as well. They are phenomenal. Right, now where's the... Can you see the plaque there on? The Wilson and Blackett one, behind the blue file, I think.
Oh, yes.
And also, just a reminder, no, the portrait one.
Oh, the Wilson
Behind the blue folder. I think... Sorry about the slight delay there. My beautiful young assistant.
No, you hid them.
I hid it. I put it safe. Just to remind you, this is now going live on raffle. So I'll put a link up. It's under the pending. They have to check the, I don't know, legalities or something. But it's a website called raffle, raffall.com. So it's all above board. And you can buy tickets and have a chance to win this. And the postage isn't as much as we thought, because it weighs less than 2 kilos. So if you are... if you're outside the UK, a contribution towards the postage would be appreciated if you win, but it's not compulsory. All right. So there we go. Handmade by Dixie, and it's placking the Slate website. And again, I'll put as soon as it goes live. I've done the raffle. It should have gone live, but there's a slight delay on that. And then that'll run for 1 month, and then we'll hopefully be able to pick up the swords, because Alan says he's also going to make boxes for them as well. I don't know how people do stuff like this. I think it's just absolutely stunning. And the pommels as well. Look at that. You got the... I have to ask Alan. Is Alan there on the comments?
Yeah, he said he's making some boxes, so he's going to hope to deliver them next week.
Oh, next week, it says on the comments. Thank you, Alan. Thanks for being online again. Yeah, William Juby. Those swords are incredible. They are. They're actually beautiful. Can I ask what's in the pommels there? What do you call them? The handguard part. Looks like bronze or something. Or
yeah,
what?
It looks like gold.
Is it painted, or how have you done that, Alan? I'll tell you what we'll do. When Alan brings them, I will do a little interview, and he can tell us more about them, okay? Oops, there we go. Great. So that's what I wanted to cover. Like I said, we might come back to some of those. Right, now I have to try and be really clever now. Get ready, Bob. Is he frozen? Or are you just being very still, Bob? Wave or something. You're scaring me now. Is he moving? Yes, he's moving. Yeah. It's all right. It's just very still.
And now we just see you.
Slight panic then. Yeah, you can see me while I change the screens round. Why is it staying on this?
Oh, gold paint.
Gold paint. Oh, it looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Good.
Right, for some reason my screen... I can see what happened. Usually, my usual problems with the microphone. This time, the microphone was sitting on one of the keys. Right. It won't let me leave the presentation. A minute. How can that be? All right, stay with me, Bob. Am I on screen share? What's happened? Good. Right. Okay, let's get out of that. Phew. Slight panic then. Yeah, people are used to this. Stay calm, Ross. Keep breathing. It'll be fine. I just want to see Bob. That's the problem. I can't seem to get to the... Zoom is there. Zoom is there. Zoom is there. Sorry, just 1 second. I can see Bob beautifully on my screen. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Phew. Right, it's going to go full screen. Brilliant. Right, okay, let's go back to... Bob, can you hear me? No, he says. Unmute. Right, Bob, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent.
I haven't been able to hear you.
No, you haven't heard the rest of the show. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. You need to put the... I forgot to tell you need to put the YouTube thing on as well. Sorry, mate. Oh, I've given you the big up. So which song are you going to play first, Bob? I get the ultimate stitch up here, can't I?
Yeah.
Right. So what I was just telling people that I better give a recap for your benefit. Then, if people don't know Bob, you'd recognise him. I used to call him Gandalf because his big white beard, but that's all gone. He's looking very smart now, which I have to come up with a new name. So we've talked about a few things. The first thing we were going to talk about, and we'll get back to, is Bob has done some brilliant research on loads of topics I cover. You'll have seen it in previous videos, and the one we were going to talk about was the fort outside Dublin, wasn't it? But we'll try and do that in the week, I think, or next week, because it seems like you think I might be British rather than Roman. Is that the idea? Just to give a little bit of an idea for people.
It's not quite what they're trying to make it out to be.
That's a very polite way of putting it, yes.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so we'll get back to that one. And then we've got other stuff to talk about. We've done loads of research. Just to give some background on Bob, you're a surveyor. Why don't you tell us about what used to be your, what job you used to have, Bob?
I've had many varied jobs. I've had quite a long career, but I started out as a chartered surveyor, doing all kinds of surveying work. Then I got involved in telecommunications, building all of the mobile base stations around the country. And then latterly, I've been building wind farms and solar farms around, mainly in South Wales, the solar farms. And as a result of that, I've walked most of South Wales,
yes.
Looking for sites and talking to farmers. And as a result of those walks and talks, it's how I got into Wilson and Blackett, because I kept seeing things in some of their fields which had no explanation, were not recorded by mainstream archaeology or the archaeology authorities. And you start asking questions around, and the farmers were coming up with these tales, and then all of a sudden, looking on the internet, I discovered Wilson and Blackett, and the two started merging together. You know, some of the tales I was being told by the farmers were actually being flagged up as by Wilson and Blackett. And as a result of that, I've been following their work quite closely for probably 10 years now.
Yeah, because I think your interest in archaeology goes back, and history goes back before that, doesn't it? Isn't it?
Oh, yeah. The interest in archaeology goes right back, because it goes back to when I was 16, back in the late 60s, when I helped on the one of the digs of the Roman fort at Usk. Did that for a whole summer with one of my school colleagues. And from then, I've been very interested in archaeology and local history. And I've been to seeing quite a great extent of the world following some of these things. They've gone to Peru, to Machu Picchu, and places like that in order to follow up mainly on the historical side. I read something in a book or a magazine, and I think, oh, I'll go and check that out. That sounds interesting, and go and check it out. And when you start checking out and looking back at the references and the sources, you actually find that there are disparities. They don't match up. What they're telling you is not quite what's there, or what's there doesn't actually match the theory that they're trying to put forward. And from that, you can actually see what normally happens with archaeologists in particular, is that they set out trying to prove something or to find something.
Yes.
And the more they dig, the more they have to then bend everything and distort everything in order to fit their preconceived idea of what it is, rather than dig it up first, then look at the evidence, then try and find out what it is, rather than saying we're going to dig up, so King Arthur, and then bend everything to fit what you're finding.
Starting off with the conclusions and working backwards, kind of thing.
No, and we've had my brother and I have had direct experience of this at our family home in Monmouth, where we had some local archaeologists digging up in the garden there, and they were digging, trying to find an ancient abbey. And what they were finding was anything but they were going bending over backwards, trying to fit what they were finding into the framework that they'd already formed in their mind.
Right. Okay.
And I think this happens all the time in archaeology. They start out, and a large part of it is to do with grants. If you're being funded to find Roman buildings, you ain't going to find Anglo-Saxon buildings, are you? Because that's not what you're being
I never
paid to do.
Yeah, that's a system I've never been part of, the grant system. I mean, it does seem to be part of the problem, doesn't it? That, I mean, you have to put, I mean, am I right in saying that what you have to do is put forward an idea to get the funding, rather than you find a site and get the funding and then tell them what you found?
You've got to go forward to get funding nowadays. You have to have something which is going to be likely important, and B, which is probably more important, is going to catch the public's imagination to justify the cost of the money that you're going to spend on it.
Yeah, right.
And as we discussed earlier today, the funding for most archaeology today is all through development. When I was building wind farms and solar farms, every site we had to have an archaeological appraisal. We couldn't put a spade in the ground before the archaeologists had gone over there. But what you find with those is it's normally just a desktop assessment, and all they do is go and look at the historic mapping. Then they go to the historical sources, the records, Cofane and people like that, Cadw, and get a list of all the historic sites in the area and just reference those. Any mound or tumulus or bit of a earthwork on site that hasn't been recorded just tends to get ignored because it's not important, because it hasn't been recorded.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, they give the all clear for development. And when you start digging them, you find out, hang on a minute, we just found a grave or a tumulus or something.
Yeah, because they're paid to give the all clear, really, aren't they? I mean, that's what they want.
Well, they're actually paid by the developer, directly by the developer. And they're obviously...
The developer's not going to be much pleased if they got this multi-million-pound housing estate. No, they say, awfully sorry.
I work with some developers who were not pleased at all with the results of what they come back. But obviously, the more important the site, the more pressure is on them to actually not so much say that there isn't anything of interest, but to write their report in such a way that it's not going to stop the development. And the way right around it, for most of them, is they simply write in a clause: if you find something, you will then have to bring in archaeologists and do a excavation on site or an assessment on site to evaluate what it is and record it. At that point, you can destroy it.
Yeah. I remember with 9 Mile Lane was a big scandal across the Vale of Glamorgan, and the report came back saying, was it all the archaeology's been done now? It's a bit like saying you got to see Stonehenge taking a photo so you can blow it up.
Yes.
The archaeology's finished. It's a bizarre comment, I thought.
It leads to some quite bizarre situations, and it can work the other way as well, because I've been on at least 3 sites in the last 10 years where there have been mounds of stones in fields which have been labelled by the archaeology authorities as Bronze Age cairns or Bronze Age, sort of whatever. And actually, when you start questioning the farmers themselves, they said, hang on a minute. So when I was a lad, my dad made me clear the field, and we put all the stones in a heap in the corner there, and that's what that is. And even when you got that first-hand evidence and you get affidavits and things like that from the farmers involved, trying to then persuade the authorities that it isn't a Bronze Age cairn is almost impossible, because they just think you're a lying developer trying to...
Right, yeah. And then you got a site like Lodge Hill, which Wilson Black did all that research, and there's actually been some archaeology to show this could be the scene of King Arthur, and definitely, if not particularly King Arthur, it's an ancient British hill fort of possible huge significance, and there's a housing estate on it.
Yeah, and that one would have gone under housing if Wilson and Blackett hadn't raised it at the time.
They had to protest,
no doubt about it. The housing was just gone further up to the top of the hill.
Yeah, they actually went to Secretary of State, didn't they, for that one?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to Sutton Hoo, I think, because that's the one who...
okay.
That's a hot subject at the moment, because the show was on BBC, wasn't it?
Yes, the film, I watched it with great interest.
Well done.
It didn't focus much on the archaeology. It was more focused on the people. But
as always.
But
the dig was the week before, wasn't it?
it's another interesting tale, and shows a number of things that we currently suffer in trying to find out what the real truth of the thing is. I mean, the biggest thing at Sutton Hoo is, I was quite astounded actually when I started to, after watching the film, I started then looking into, all right, I go and dig into some of the background of that, pull out some of the archaeological papers to find out that it was the second ship burial on the site. The first ship burial, which Basil Brown unearthed in 1938, doesn't get talked about. It's just amazing. It was the first one found in the UK.
Well, there was one for the comments. Did anyone realise that the boat they're talking about, the mound, is the second one? I didn't know till Bob told me earlier in the week.
Yeah, no, it's the second boat burial on the site, and it never gets a mention.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
And it was first dug into in the 1870s. And they came out of there with a couple of iron rivets, which they identified at the time as being from a boat, but they didn't link the two together and actually think that there was a boat burial there.
Right.
It wasn't until 1938 when Basil Brown first started excavating on the site, and it was not the first mound that he went into, but I think it's about the third one. And he actually then found the remains of the boat, recognized it for what it was, because there was a vague imprint in the boat. And that and the other mounds that he excavated in 38 then gave rise to continuing into 39, which is when the Sutton Hoo boat as we know it, which is in Mound 1, was excavated. And then Basil Brown in 1938 had reburied the Mound 2, which is the first boat was found in. And it wasn't until 1985 when they re-excavated it. And then they can actually find at that time that they could discern the imprint of the boat.
Yeah, because the trouble is soil's quite acidic, isn't it? And there's not much left of organic things.
There wasn't.
You're left with just the metal, aren't you?
Yeah, well, there wasn't anything left of the wood, and there wasn't anything left of the bodies because the acidic soil had eaten it all the way. So he was quite a good guy to actually spot at the time what the people in 1870 had missed, that there was an actual boat burial there.
Yeah, someone took real care, didn't they? Which is good to know.
And then in 1939, which is when they dug out the boat, a boat and the helmet now, which everyone jumps up and down about. Again, it's the same kind of thing. He recognized it for what it was, and his careful work. And the important thing with Basil Brown was he wasn't a qualified archaeologist. He was qualified by experience. And as soon as he had started unearthing the boat, at that point, as soon as it could become clear what it was and the size of it, the British Museum stepped in. And the next thing is he's given the back seat in the project. He remained on the project digging it. But when they actually produced all the results at the end of it, his name was not mentioned. And his name was not mentioned, basically, again, until about 1985, when they re-excavated the boat with the benefit of modern tools and technology. And actually, the way his name came about was there because in 1938, he was given the job of reburying and reforming the mound after they'd done the excavation, the original excavation. And they were astonished by the way that he'd actually backfilled it. He protected it all with moss and leaves and things like that and branches.
Fantastic.
So that when they took it back, they could still see the outline of the boat. And from that outline of the boat, they then made a cast of it and then made a fiberglass replica of it from that cast.
Well, there you go. He's a hero there, and he's not even...
It was only at that point, 1985, that the people recognised what an outstanding job he had done from day one. And he then started to get recognition from that point onwards. And now, if you go up to see Sutton Hoo, his name is there in bold letters, whereas before it wasn't mentioned at all.
Yeah. So have you got some things to show us, I think, haven't you?
Well, I have.
Let's see if this works.
If we can see this work, it worked earlier on
yeah,
today.
We had an exciting afternoon trying to get all this working, didn't we? Gave up on Skype in the end.
Right, hang on, it says
It's going
here,
well. I'll talk amongst
host
myself.
disabled screen share.
Oh, have I got to do
you've
something?
got to do something.
Oh, no. Screen share. I thought I'd enabled it all. How do I do this? No, that's my screen share. Hang on. So everyone's going to watch me trying to do this now.
You've got to enable screen sharing.
Yeah, I did all this earlier. I can't see the screen because I've got...
Yeah, that was on a different call. You need to...
My cameras are in the way. Hang on, excuse me. Here we go. Screen share. There's all those people out there now, you know, it's like, I do this every day. Why is it? You can't do this. Yeah, try again now. Yeah, all participants can share. All
right,
participants
there we are.
can share.
Okay.
Yeah, you okay?
And try this now. There we are.
Whoa, look at that.
You see that?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Bendicating. Bob.
Okay, that's the Mound 2 ship burial, the first one that was unearthed in 1937. And you can discern the shape of the my cursor here. You can discern the shape of the ship here. It's not as defined or as dramatic as the Mound 1 ship burial, the big one.
Oh, it looks pretty dramatic to me. I didn't realise the sides were so steep and everything. Sorry to talk over you then, but
yeah. But the unique thing about this ship burial, and I've looked at quite a few others, but this is the only one which has this characteristic. You can see the guy in the middle here. He's in a rectangular pit. This ship burial was quite unique in that they dug a chamber first beneath the ground, put the body in it, and then dragged the ship over the body, over the body in the chamber, and then mounded the earth over the ship. Whereas all the other ship burials that have been excavated so far, the occupants of the ship have been buried either inside the ship, just laid in the ship itself, or in a cabin which formed the central part of these ships.
So has this been commented on then, Bob? I mean, you've told me about it. It doesn't seem... I hadn't seen this mentioned anywhere before. Why hasn't this more of a fuss made about this?
I suspect no fuss has been made about this one. If this was the only one on the site, they would be jumping up and down and shouting about it. But the 1938 one with the helmet and the ship there and the grave goods that they got from it was so dramatic, so outstanding, that this one just got lost. And no, if you try and look for details of this now, it's very hard to find actually any detailed information on this site at the moment.
Okay, but I mean, but you're saying, anyway, okay, well, now you carry on with the present day, but I maybe mentioned earlier that this could be significant in the fact that it is different, isn't it?
It's the only one of its kind at the moment that I can find. As I said, all the other ship burials in Scandinavia, and there's one up in Scotland that's been excavated. All of the occupants are actually in the ship, not under the ship like this one. So there's something distinctly different about it, which bears looking into. And I'm surprised that because of the difference between the other ships that they're digging up, no one is actually making reference to this or looking into it.
Yeah. Why is this one uniquely...
Why is this one different? What made them do it this way?
Why is it different to all the Swedish ones?
Yes. No, I've lost you on video, so...
You've lost me on video? Yeah, oh dear.
No.
Yeah, that's because we can see you. No, keep going. There's any other pictures? That was the one, yeah?
Right, okay. Then I've got another one here, which is... If we can share that one.
Yeah, don't worry. People will see me on two cameras at once.
Yeah.
This is it. The coins.
Now,
can I just say something first? Because what I want to do during this next week, I don't know if you saw it, I put a video up last week or the week before, again going through Sutton Hoo being British, not Anglo-Saxon. What I'm trying to say is where's the proof or evidence for this being Anglo-Saxon? I don't know if it's definitely British, but I can tell you now, no one definitely knows it's Anglo-Saxon either. So what I'm trying to do is, can we start from a position of 0, we don't know, and then see where the evidence takes us rather than starting from this position. And one of the key bits, I'm going to go through all different bits of evidence, and you'll see it in Wilson and Blackett book, and it's in the Trojan War 2nd edition, which I put out recently, and the next edition's coming out soon, all the pictures, the purse and all that kind of stuff. But the one which is being held up quite recently, I would argue, as being the definitive proof is that some of the coins are being dated to 630s or whatever, which gives an idea then that this famous guy, Redvelt or whatever, it must be Angles. The site must be Anglo-Saxon because this coin's 630 odd, so it must be at least that or more recent, therefore making it impossible to be anything but Angles because they'd occupied the area by then. So the real key piece of evidence, we can go through all the other pieces, which I will do during the week, is the coins. So there we go. So can you tell us about the coins then, please, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, it is when they unearthed the ship and the grave goods, it were the coins that gave them the dating, and their original dating back in 1939. The British Museum dated the coins to 640 to 670 AD. Now, if you look at the coins, there are 37 of them. Down the bottom here are 3 blank coins, or 3 blanks for coins,
yep.
And then there are 2 ingots down the bottom here. So there's a total of 40 pieces. Now, one of the theories they had they still have for the coins is that the coins were put in the grave to pay for the oarsmen. So that would assume that there's 40 oarsmen, 20 each side of the boat. Now, I've not seen that actually confirmed in terms of the actual oars spacing, to say that there were 20 people in the boat. On
could you take some sort of idea from the size of the boat and work out how much room you'd need?
Yes, I mean they should be able to do that, but I've not seen that actually reported. I'm still researching.
Okay.
Sutton Hoo. I only started when I saw.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just wondering if anyone else has. Yeah.
So I'm sure that available out there. And I'm sure that there probably is 20 each side, which is why they've come up with the theory that these 40 coins or coin pieces are to pay for the oarsmen. But the dating was actually done on these coins, which is where, as I said, they originally came out 640 to 670. In 1960, a French coin expert, Jean Lafaurie, he dated coins to 625 AD. And the dating is really, out of all these coins, there are only 5 with an identifiable head on them. You've got one there, one there, one there. There's 5 of them in total out of the 37 coins with a head on them. One is attributed to Maurice Tiberius, a Byzantine emperor of 582 to 602. There are 3 of the.
Sorry. What was the name of him?
Maurice Tiberius. He's a Byzantine emperor dating from 582 to 602.
But he's Byzantine. He's not. Right. Okay.
No. He's not local. Yeah, and this gives rise to all kinds of what is going on here, right? So he's a Byzantine emperor. 3 coins have got his head on them.
Yeah, I thought these coins are supposed to be Merovingian.
They are, but they got Byzantine emperor on them.
Okay.
And these 3 coins, but the interesting part about them, although they got his head on 3 of them, each of them have been minted at a different mint in Provence. Now, obviously they got coin experts looking at these, so they obviously making the assessment of where they came from and things like that. But it seems odd that you got the same guy on 3 coins minted in 3 different things, and he's a Byzantine emperor. What's going on there? There's a story there which again hasn't been looked into and told.
So I know with obviously the British history is a massive contact with Byzantine. You got Constantine going over there, who was British, and then Provence seems to be a lot nearer to Britain and Scandinavia. I mean, I've just dropped this on you a bit, but I mean, do you think there's any reasons given why these coins would point to it being Anglo-Saxon rather than British?
The coins themselves aren't being pointed to as Anglo-Saxon. They're pointed as being Merovingian coins.
Okay.
And that were assembled together and placed in the burial. So no one's saying that the coins are Anglo-Saxon. They obviously came from Gaul, from Provence, and they were minted there. but the issue really is the dating. The dating we've got of 625 actually comes from this French coin expert who spent a large part of his life looking into these things. The interesting thing about the dating is the original dating, the 640 to 670, didn't match up with 625, which is when they believe this King Railwald
Yes, that's right,
died.
Railwald, yes.
And he's the guy that they think was buried in the ship, or that they're purporting was buried in the ship.
Yes.
And it seems coincidental to me that you start out with a date, these coins are later than that, and then all of a sudden, by the time you get to the 1960s, they're still looking then for who was buried, and they're coming up with King Railwald because he seems to fit the bill and he's in the right area, not quite at the right time. The French coin expert then puts him into the picture. But then subsequently to that,
he moves the dates of the coins, is that right?
Well, yes, they moved the dates of the coin backwards by 20 odd years, 20 to 50 years. How do they do that at a stroke,
Yes.
And it fits the narrative that it is this King Railwald who's buried in the tomb. So there's a bit of, I've got my suspicions on that one, which I need to look into deeper.
Yeah, I've got a lot of suspicions about the coins.
Yeah, I know you.
But there we are. It's your picture. You carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. But the next thing that happened was that they did more recently. They've been doing a lot of analysis of the gold content of the Merovingian coins, not these ones buried in this vault, but all of them. And what they've discovered from the analysis is, and I suppose it's fairly inevitable, the older the coin, the more gold content they've got in them. The younger the coin, the less gold they have in them.
They get debased, yes.
They get debased over time. And there's a number of reasons for that, people on an economy drive 1 year or something like that, or in fact, the coins were being remelted down to, and then reformed again to form new coinage. And in that process, the gold content was being lost. That latest analysis now is showing that the coins could have been made before 613 AD.
They could have been earlier than that. Sorry, yeah.
It could have been earlier.
Century, yeah,
it's good, and I think it's quite interesting again that the way that that was presented in the papers was that it was made before 613 AD. The reason for that, I suspect, is to still keep this King Railwald into the zone, as it were, for the burial.
You could say it was made before the year 2000, wasn't it? I mean,
yes, exactly. It's a bit like that. But the reality of looking at the analysis is they were probably made in the latter part of the 6th century, not the early part of the 7th century. So they're more likely to be sort of 550, round about that dating, 550, 580, which would completely then eliminate Railwald from being the occupant of the burial. And there's a large.
Sorry to jump in there. Can I just
Yep.
Do you off the top? I just not exact figures, but I mean, when is it claimed that this area was angle dominated, if you like? Because that's the key thing with these dates. Just people wonder why we're talking about dates. Because they're very confident that after about 620 or something, that whole area was dominated by Anglo-Saxons or Angles or whichever bunch it was. Was once you get, if you move the coins back to say 550s or something, I think that's when you start to get a lot more doubt then, isn't it? Whether or not that area had been occupied or conquered, or however you want to describe it.
Well, you start pushing things back. You've got to look at the known dates that we have, and one of the known dates that we do have is 595, when Augustine was sent over by the Pope to basically convert the pagan Anglo-Saxons. Now, that would then presupposes that anything before 595, the people living there were not Christians. They might have been Anglo-Saxons, they might have been Britons, they might have been whoever.
Whatever.
But again, you start looking at the known things. We know that it's documented, it's well documented. 595, they were not Christians, which gives rise to an interesting situation with both of these site burials on at Sutton Hoo. Both of them, the boats are aligned east-west. All of the other Scandinavian boat burials that I've looked at are orientated north-south. Now, an east-west alignment would imply that they were Christian burials.
Yeah, this is very important, I think, isn't it?
Yes. Again, it's something that is not actually being looked at by the mainstream. That you can only get the figures. That no one is saying that it's east-west. You can only get it by looking at the actual layout plans of their works.
Yeah, this is where your surveying experience comes in then, because you can look at these things and spot stuff like that. Yeah. The teamwork is great on this. It's brilliant.
But so that they were, whoever was buried there was a Christian in what was predominantly at that point in time a pagan area. Now, does that sound like King Railwald? Because
like I say, it depends how far we go back with these coins, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the coins to an extent are the key to it, because they provide the dating, as it were, because if they were interred at the time that the body and the ship was buried, they give you a cutoff point for the dating. If the coins were, if you could prove that coins were after 625, right? It's later. If they were before 625, it's earlier. But it's how precisely are these coins being dated, and what is the rationale? What is the criteria for dating them?
Well, one of the other things I want to get into is, I'm not going to go into it tonight, but at some point, just mention in this. Sorry, it's got my marks. It's so I don't accidentally send this out to someone who's paid for a nice new copy. And this has got my notes. So you see in the book here, it's probably very small in the corner, but there's things like the purse and Wilson and Black. Oh no, keep on. It's okay. Wilson and Black explained, and Alan Hassel did a lot of work on this. There's like a Star of David in the bowl. There's what seems to be a Welsh style coith, the stringed instrument like a harp. And also what happens to be in this book as well is a list of what Wilson and Blackett call the Frank ancestral king list. Because one of the things, so I can't have time to go into great depth now, but one of the things is, this is where it gets a bit sneaky, is that the dates are being pinned, as you said on the coins, are being linked to the kings, or the Merovingian kings, or Frankish kings, whatever you want to call them. And that's given as a confirmation of the date. So I would suggest even the coins themselves, you can't necessarily work out which person it is. But even if you did, how reliable is this dating for the Merovingian kings? It seems to be based on nothing at all. There's one list from Geoffrey of Tours, I believe, who gives a couple of the early founders, and that's it then. It's kind of by inference after that. I don't know if you know more about that side of it.
No, that's where I'm going next.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there. Go on.
Yeah, that's where I'm going next. I can't see you, but that's where I'm going next. Is to actually start digging into the coin dating, because that's crucial to actually dating the tomb itself. And once you've got that date, what I'm suspecting of finding, quite honestly, is that King Railwald is out of date for that burial, but for various reasons they want to keep him in the frame because it makes a nice story.
But if it's not Raidwell, which Anglo-Saxon king is it?
Well, was it an Anglo-Saxon?
Yeah, that's why I was being a little bit facetious there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to find another Angle king we can stick in there. Where it gets frustrating on a more general note, just is that the logic, it just baffles me. If something is found to obviously not be Anglo-Saxon, all right? So you can show spoons. They got the Christian emblems. You can either read them in Colburn one way, as Wilson and Blackett do, or you can say it's Latin, it says Saul Paul. Either way, they're Christian, right? They got the crosses on. There's other things in there. So you say, well, they could be trade gifts or spoils of war or loot or whatever, So if you find something that's not Anglo-Saxon, that's that's not a problem because it could be loot or trade. And then, but if you find something that's definitely... So what I'm trying to say is if it's a British site with British goods in it, you'd expect to find British things there. If it's considered to be Anglo-Saxon, the British goods don't seem to matter anymore. I'm not making a lot of sense, but I think you get the message. What I'm trying to say is that if it's Anglo... I'll put it another way. We got the Vendel helmet, which I think we'll talk about briefly. It's a dubious claim, as we'll discuss, but if you claim that helmet matches a helmet in Sweden, therefore the whole site must be Swedish because it's got a Swedish-style helmet. If you say another item in there, well, that's a British-style item, well, that's loot or trade goods. This is the double standard again, which seems unfair, isn't it?
It's a double standard, but it actually stems from timing, as we have with these boat burials. The Mound 2 Sutton Hill boat was the first boat burial unearthed in.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have that map you showed me with all the different mounds on it?
I do.
People might not realise. I didn't realise just how many mounds and boats and stuff was there. I mean, I always come from the other end. I come from looking at the items and trying to track them down, whereas Bob comes from the surveying end, and we both do research. And a lot of projects we seem to end in the middle, and it works out really well.
Yeah, I'm trying to now.
It's all right. Take your time on that. I should.
No, okay. Well, while we're going on now, as I was saying, the time, you've got timing issues all through this. This was the first boat burial in the UK that was excavated and recognised as a boat burial. But back in the 1870s, there have been a number of boat burials in Norway and Sweden that had been dug up and excavated. And what's happening is, as soon as that happens, you dig up something new and novel in this country. A similar thing has been dug up in another country, and your reference point then links to that country. Mm-hmm. And this is where I have issues like you with the helmet. Yeah, they dug up these helmets in Scandinavia before they dug up the Sutton Hoo helmet. But the Sutton Hoo helmet has no other comparable to look at within the UK itself. So they look to the nearest comparables, which were in Scandinavia, and all of a sudden then it becomes Scandinavian.
But the Vendel helmet, can I just say on this? I mean, as we discussed before, is that what people don't seem to realise as well. I think people think there's hundreds and hundreds of these Swedish helmets everywhere, and this one matches, so therefore it's obviously Swedish. But there's hardly any of these helmets, and I think it's how many in Sweden being discovered? Is it one? Isn't it?
I think
it's one, and there's 4 or 5 in the UK.
Yeah, there's not many. There's more out of Scandinavia than in. And it's the same with the boat burials. There are more boat burials in Scandinavia, so they are perceived as being by most people a Scandinavian import, if you like, to this country. But the interesting thing on that again is if you look at the dates of them, all of the boats that have been excavated in Scandinavia, all much later in date. They're all dating to the 900s in the Viking era. And they are quite clearly with them digging up and what they're finding within the grave goods, they are all of Viking origin. But they are 900 years, they're 400 years later than the Sutton Hoo burial.
Well, from the research I did, I couldn't find any other Swedish helmet sites or burials, boat shaped mound burials to match the period. But there you go.
No, that was again the revelation for me is I thought that there'd be lots of boat burials in Scandinavia. There must be, because they keep on referencing it and saying it's a Scandinavian thing. But when you actually get there, there's about half a dozen of them have actually been excavated.
And they're much later, most of them, aren't they?
And they're all much later. The earliest is 720, and some of them are 960. So they're all in that most of them are in the 900 periods, which is quite clearly a Viking era. There's been one more boat burial in the UK up in the top of Scotland, and that again was excavated. That was only excavated recently, 2011, and that's a rather small boat. It's only a 6-meter boat compared to the 27-meter Sutton Hoo boat, and that again, because has been dated to the Viking era, it's been determined basically to be a Viking burial, although the evidence to say that it's a Viking burial is basically just down again to the dating, and again I'm trying to look into the dating of that to get to the bottom of it.
How do they come up with these numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit, but that one again is quite unique in that the boat there was buried in the ground, the body put in it. It didn't have a cabin or any kind of structure on the boat because presumably it was too small. But the entire boat was filled with stones before they erected the mound over the top of it. Now that's again something that is unique. I haven't come across another boat burial anywhere that's done that. So in this country, we've got 3 boat burials, and 2 of them are pretty unique in the way in which the burial has been carried out. Yet no one's really interested in that or looking any further into it.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just, it's full of stones, that's it, we'll go on to the next one.
Right. Well, bringing that back now, because I wanted to, when we wrap this up, is to talk about how this ties in then with some of the Wilson and Blackett sites we got, and some ideas we were talking about that to try and progress this, isn't it? Because of course the other place, which never gets a spade put in it, that does have boat-shaped burial mounds and potentially sunken boats is Wales, of course.
Yes, I mean we've got two what look to be like boat burials. You can't say that they are because we don't know at the moment.
Well, that's why I said boat-shaped, yeah.
But they're boat-shaped, and all the visual evidence would assume that there is a boat or some kind of boat structure within these burials. Yet no one's ever put a spade in the ground. We got the one for Kerry at Nash Point,
yeah.
And then we got the one on Mynyddig for Mayrig.
And I think we've got a few others that people in the group have told me about, which we're going to keep under our hats because we want to make sure we get there. Before they get blocked off or scheduled or something. Yeah.
I'm aware personally that there are quite a few boatish-shaped mounds around in South Wales, and again, some of most of them have not been recorded by the mainstream archaeology.
Yeah. Hopefully, we got one on private land that we know the landowner, so we can have a look.
And in this respect, I think what's quite interesting is the one of the most recent boat burials excavated in Scandinavia was the one that I think. Jellystad. My pronunciation of that. The pronunciation is probably totally wrong, but that was the most recent one excavated in 2011. And what was interesting on that was it was a bit like the Sutton Hoo in that it was an area where there were a lot of mounds. But back in the 19th century, as farming progressed, all the mounds were taken down. So by 2011, all you had was a flat field, basically. Now, there were records made back in the 1800s that there were mounds there. So some of the archaeologists went out there and started looking, and they did a geophys survey first and discovered, yes, there were a number of mounds there. And then they did ground penetrating radar. And what they found from that was in one of the mounds, there was a ship burial. It was completely flat on the ground, but through the ground penetrating radar, they could take slices at different distances below the ground, and they could actually make a 3D picture of the boat that was buried under the ground.
It's like when you have an MRI scan done, isn't it? It's a sort of similar.
It's the same kind of thing. You take a scan at a different level and then make it into a 3D model. And they could show the precise shape of the boat, measure it, and show that it was intact.
So what we want really is someone one of them, isn't it?
Yes, and the one at Nash Point, to my mind, is Nash Point or the one at Mynyddig. Yeah, great. If someone could go out there and do that exercise and show that there is something buried there. it would be a useful exercise. The problem being, though, certainly at the one at Nash Point, it's a registered monument, so you would have to get permission in order to dig it, to do.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it'd be a better opportunity for us to look at the ones that I'd say off the beaten path, shall we say?
Yeah,
there's a couple of just lumps in farmers' fields that don't seem to be interest to anybody. They're not listed. No one's interested in looking at them. Sorry, you can see me again. I realise what the problem was. Sorry about that.
But the one next to St. Peter's Church, the big one there,
Caradog, yeah.
That one there, that as far as I know, isn't a scheduled monument, and it seems to be ignored. So there's potential there, perhaps. For,
This is where we can use the game against in reverse, if you like. That by not acknowledging it might have historical value, then it's not scheduled, is it? So.
Yeah. Yeah, and
if they acknowledge it, then they have to admit the history. So in those circumstances like that, as long as you got the permission of the site owner, you could do you could excavate it. But as soon as you started finding anything, it would be like Basil Brown, So the authorities would be onto you and take the wresting control of it, and then take the dig for themselves and claiming all the glory for finding it. Well, yeah. Well, at least we'd have it found, wouldn't we?
Well, the glory isn't the thing; it's the finding.
Yeah, because it's the history we're trying to get out there, isn't it?
And confirming the history. Confirming something which at the moment is completely being ignored.
Yeah. One disturbing rumour Mandy sent across to me. Do you know if there's special regulations about metal detecting in the Vale of Glamorgan?
No, I've not heard of that.
Okay, don't worry. I thought you might know. It just came up just before we went live, so I haven't had a chance to look into it. But if there's anyone on the comments there knows anything about it, yeah. So what we really want is, so I'm just looking any of the comments. Yeah, if someone, my camera keeps going off. I've no idea why it does that. Sorry about that. So you can see my face. There we go. Is that so I lost my track now. Yeah, if people out there, because I know we got metal detectors in the group. Because metal detecting could be a part of it. The problem is the depth of these things, isn't it? That boat mound you showed the picture of, much deeper than I thought it would be. I didn't realise it looks like it's actually gone underground.
Yeah.
It's not just somewhere halfway up the mound, is it? It's different
the normal ship burials are you dig a hole and put the ship in it.
Yeah.
So it's below ground level, and then you use your fill to cover it back up, and then mound over the top of it, which gives rise to another interesting thing with the Mound 2 one, which is the first one that discovered at Sutton Hoo, where the boat was dragged over the burial chamber. That had the highest mound, because if you put a boat on the ground and try and mound over it rather than dig the boat into the ground, you're going to end up with a much bigger mound.
Yeah, because it's all about ground level.
That might be a useful way of spotting if we've got some really big mounds, unexpectedly big compared to their neighbours or something like that. Some of those might be looking into, because they could be a similar kind of burial.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is there's a lot of systematic looting went on when the Normans arrived, apparently, wasn't it? Like I know Tudor up on...
And the Tudor time in particular. Sutton Hoo was robbed out in the Tudor times with people looking for treasure.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And again, it's another one of those things where the Sutton Hoo boat wasn't robbed out. And the reason for that was because it was an elongated mound, and in doing work on the estate there, they cut off the end of the mound. And when the looters came, they picked the middle of the mound, believing it to be a normal mound.
There's actually a whole missing section.
Yeah, and they missed the whole burial. They just dug down and missed the whole burial.
Thank goodness for that, didn't it?
No, that was one of these lucky flukes of chance.
Yeah.
And as a result, we got what we got.
Well, thank you very much. That's brilliant. That's yes, we're gonna have more coming up on this, and we go through some of the. Thank you, Bob. It's fantastic. And there's a couple of other projects that I've got you on the screen there. Just we mentioned briefly in passing. I know I've noticed Michelle's come online. She's a Welsh speaker, and we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Any other Welsh language experts there as well? Because there's two other projects which are sort of not really related to this, but it's all part of the history group thing.
It's more related than you think it is.
It can all tie in, can't it? Well, the one big thing we want to get into is poor old well, for start, let's say we're going to do more follow-up videos looking at individual pieces of the evidence, put a series together, because it really needs properly documenting. Because if anyone watched The Dig and all these other programs, they're not doing a proper job. It's I don't know why. It doesn't matter why. We want to do a proper job. And at least record everything so people can see it for themselves and have a think. That's what it should be about. As Bob was kindly pointing out earlier, and Wilson and Blackett have always done, you find the evidence and see where it leads you. This idea, well, we know it's this guy and we're going to prove it. That doesn't work, all right?
It doesn't work. No.
So one of the people you've started looking at from the opposite end to me, and I mentioned it again for Michelle, I saw expat on there, welcome. And welcome all the people joining us as well. Lots of names joining in. Oh, Fire in the Soul. These a few messages from her this last week. Is this idea that Yolo Morganwg was a forger, wasn't it? That he forged all these documents and all the Welsh history, all these records, and in particular Colburn language, which is something I really want to get into. Now we moved on from the Cymroglyphics, is to get onto that. Because this is another one of those projects we come from opposite ends. I'm coming from the end of, I'm learning how to read it, and I'm looking at Etruscan and how I can make it work. But you've taken another approach to this work.
Yeah, I'm coming from the other end, because I'm looking into the evidence of the forgeries that he's accused of, because there doesn't seem to me to be any evidential base for that accusation. It all goes back to G. Williams back in the day, who he's the one that effectively proved or supposedly proved that he was a forger.
Yes.
But unfortunately, what Ross is doing there.
Sorry, I was going to try and share the screen a bit better, but go on, carry on. Sorry,
unfortunately, the proof of the forgery, it was written in Welsh by this guy. Now, I've not been able to find a English translation of that. I've looked several times. It's one of my frustrations. I can't see it. I found a lot of papers following that accusation of forgery where there were counter and rebuttals of it. And I've seen a lot of evidence saying, I know, hang on a minute, you said that and you can't be because, X,
yes.
Y, and Z. But what I've not actually been able to get firsthand is what the accusation of forgery was, because it's written in Welsh. And unfortunately, I can't speak Welsh.
Yeah, we can have a go at it, but it's a long job. If we got people out there could help, because I know we got some great translators and stuff.
It shouldn't be a long thing.
It's a bit older, slightly older Welsh as well now, isn't it?
It's going to be, and that is part of, as far as I can see, that's part of the justification why it's a forgery. Yolo was going around the country collecting these old Welsh manuscripts, and he was translating them. He was then sort of transcribing them. But in transcribing them, the allegation and the proof of the forgery, as far as I can see, is that in transcribing them, that can have been copied from a manuscript, because he's using at the time current Welsh or older Welsh than the document was dated. Welsh had changed in that period, and his translation doesn't reflect that. My view on that,
just to clarify that, what's happened? He's taken. If you don't know Yolo Morganwg, so it's a little bit of background. He's what Alan Wilson calls a copia, which I never understood for ages. Someone who copies, or copia with Alan's accent. And what he's accused of doing, he's an amazingly dedicated man. He would walk miles and miles and miles and miles to go around to the great homes, which are the last repositories of the ancient knowledge. All the books have been taken away, destroyed, burnt. Fortunately, some of the wealthier families kept a little stash, their private libraries. And he went round very politely, knock on the door, could I copy these books, please, before they get lost forever? So what he did was incredible to maintain this history.
No.
Decades of his life spent doing that for no real reward as such, just the keeping the history going a little bit like we're doing. It's a continuation of his work in some ways.
He's just like you, Ross. He was just trying to keep the history going because he could see it disappearing in front of his eyes at the time.
Yes.
And in doing that, when he was copying these documents, as I said, the allegation is he must have forged it because he's using Welsh, which wasn't current at the time of the document. And my answer to that would be, if I were translating some old English manuscript today, Would I translate it, for Welsh document, would I translate it into Old English? No, I would translate it into English that people today can understand. And if he's translating old Welsh documents, he would translate them or transcribe them and put them into the language of today, because what he wanted was people to read those documents and understand them.
Yes.
And as a result of that could be, to my mind, that could be one reason why it was why the forgery accusation was made against him. I'm sure that there are a lot of other reasons as well. But if that's the case, I would like to see the proof of that.
Yes.
To look what the allegation was, which part of the Welsh was wrong, and then to look at it and see and make some kind of judgment.
Let's see if we can verify what he did.
Is that reasonable or unreasonable? Because a lot of the rebuttals that were made at the time, and there were quite a few, and most of them were fortunately
supporting Yolo, weren't they? They were defending him.
A lot of people were defending him. Unfortunately, they would defend him in English, so I can see the defence side of it, but what I can't see frustratingly is go back and see what they're defending against.
And it's difficult. Yeah, I see what you mean. I think this is a crucial project for what we do, because he's like the linchpin. If you have a discussion with someone, I've had it thrown at me, I would say at least 3 times in the last month. Oh, I bet you all follow that Yolo Morganwg stuff, even if there's something that's nothing to do with him.
Yes.
Even if we're talking about Romans or something, right? Oh, Yolo Morganwg. It's amazing. It's become this touchstone to just attack anything.
Because
he's supposedly a forger, therefore everything's out the window. It's bizarre.
He's a forger. And even if you look at Wilson and Blackett, King Arthur, King of Morgan, in that they make reference to Yolo's material, and they say we've got to be careful how we look at this because of those allegations. Yes. So at that time, certainly Alan Wilson and Barham were cautious about Yolo as they went on.
Well, it's intimidating, because I get it thrown at me on a regular basis. So I don't know why my camera keeps going off. I think they become less so because they can actually see that this guy was doing a real job. I think we should do a separate thing about it, because one of the little things I did want to mention was that one of the dirty tricks which is done. Sorry, I don't know why my camera's not working there. Oh yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. People can see me on the other one. You can't see me, Bob. Sorry about that. But one of the real sneaky tricks is if you get a document that you don't like for whatever reasons. All right, let's not get into the politics here. Let's just say you don't want a document to appear, but it's been written by a famous academic, because Yolo Morganwg didn't work on his own. This is another thing people don't realise. He worked as 3 of them working together a lot of the time, and they produced documents together because Yolo wasn't actually so formally educated, which is also thrown against him. But what you do is you get the document written by the Cambridge graduate who's got the high reputation. One of them, I think, was like chairman of the Law Society and all that. Yes, so he's in like untouchable. So what you then do, you change the name of the book effectively. I'm simplifying it to get it across. That document no longer gets written by him. That document gets put into the written by Yolo Morganwg folder. So then you can throw it out. And this is just amazing how this has been done. A lot of the work which is said to be forged by Yolo Morganwg was never even done by him. It was never presented by him, and it's just been twisted in that direction. And that, I think, is really quite shocking.
Well, most of Yolo's work didn't actually get published in his lifetime anyway. It was published by his son much later on. So, as a forger, I can't see what he would have got out of forging anything.
What was the payoff? He never did anything with it.
He didn't make any money out of it, for certain. So it's difficult to see his motives for forgery. And if you read, his life story, I've got, there are various people around at the time who were writing about him. What comes over to me is that, he's a pretty eccentric kind of a guy, but he was genuinely interested in collecting all these documents and saving them before they become lost forever.
Yeah.
And the problem is, a lot of the documents that he did copy are now sadly lost. And the problem is, because of the association with forgery, no one will put any reliance on them.
Yeah, this is the problem, because all those original documents have decayed, as Yolo realise would happen. The originals have gone, and all we got now is his copies. And in case people think, well, that therefore it doesn't count, you want to look at all histories like that. No documents survive. The oldest Roman document, like Tacitus or something, is like 1450 something. 1,500 years after he's supposed to have written it. So don't get sucked into this idea, well, it's all old. It's not old enough, because it is. But you do have to keep copying. Unless it's chiseled on stone, which is like another thing.
You're opening up another topic there. That's huge, that one.
So I think it's time for us to resurrect Yolo Morganwg, yeah. So brilliant. There we go. We'll have to start wrapping up now. Thank you very much indeed. There's lots more coming up, so don't forget. Yeah, big thank you to Bob there. Let's just read some of the comments. There's been hundreds of them. So, yeah, the Colburn thing, I want to do a book on writing that. Shall I go back to me a second? Let Bob relax a bit.
I have 31 likes.
31 likes. There we go.
No
Yep.
dislikes.
No dislikes. See, you can relax a bit, Bob. I think you're off the screen. Just going to do a little bit of... I'll just mute you, I think. Do you want to be muted, or do you want to join in the chat?
No, I'll mute myself.
All right, you can join the chat if you want. I'm just going to go through some of the comments. One thing I do want to mention, that someone... I'm sorry, I didn't write your name down. I heard a story... Which camera am I on that one? God, it's like a TV studio cameras. Someone left a comment on one of my videos, so you can see it on the YouTube, that while Jesus in Britain actually fled from possibly Wales or wherever he was, and ended up in the Pennines in Lancashire, north of England. Oh, is everything all right? Hang on. I can't do any of that. Oh, mention the raffle. Yeah, I have mentioned the raffle. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to mention the raffle. Has raffle gone live? Oh, well, I'll have to do that. Put that link up. So anyway, so he's... boys are very excited we're doing a raffle. End up in the Pennines? Does anyone know about this? Can they tell me about it? Because they said there's books about it. There's a person spent his whole life dedicated to, basically trudging around the Pennines, tracking down the sites where he was and that kind of thing. So if anyone could fill me in on that as well, because I say it's not just a Welsh thing, this channel, as we know, all right? So, we're talking about Sutton Hoo today. That's in England. So there you go. The other thing, if anyone knows Jonathan Booker, Jonathan, are you watching it tonight? I bet he is. Because he sent me a message to say, yeah, he's almost ready to talk about Elmet, which is that area, and I want to get Bob's feedback on this next time we talk, because Elmet, if you're not aware of it, was the north of England, was a British kingdom, and it could have been British up until the 8th or even 9th centuries. And if you look up there, there's the Staffordshire Hoard, and that could form within Elmet, and that seems to have similarities with Sutton Hoo in my view. Just a casual look, all right? I haven't studied this, but that would makes the whole thing British. Anyway, it gets very interesting. So let's have some look. Some of the comments here. Tudor's here. Very good to see it. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Everyone's enjoying the presentation. Gosh, there's so much here. Right, so just wanted to recap on that. We're talking about Yolo Morganwg. So Michelle and any other Welsh speakers, please contact me and let me know if you're willing to do a bit of help. Won't be in a huge go. Jonathan, here we are, mate. I'm pinning you down. I've named you. I've called you out. Because this guy's done guided tours around here. He knows his stuff. I've met Jonathan. He's excellent and he can do this. And I think what I've learned, if you watch this channel, is don't try and make a perfect presentation, because you'll never get it done and it'll go wrong anyway. Right, so do we know if there's been any more research on Maddock? Good question. I have got a couple of books here I'm reading soon. What I want to do with Maddock, where this ties in, hopefully, is when I got the book on Colburn done, I think this is going to be crucial. Because if we can prove Colburn works, well, we know it works. Alan Wilson and Blackett have done that, all right? So it's not like I'm inventing anything new. I just want to build, a bit like I've done with the hieroglyphics, the chiroglyphics, that's the plan. Present it in a way which is, footnoted and referenced, and just about that, which is a lot harder for people to dispute. And I want people to learn how to read it for themselves. As I describe some of the books, Wilson and Blackett's books, if you read them, they are amazing. And you think, that's amazing that they've done that. Now what we try and do then is draw out from that and say, oh yeah, I can do it as well. That's the idea. So, and the reason why Colburn is important, of course, because then you go to some of these caves in America, which I keep meaning to put on this show, and we should do it one week, Bat Creek Cave, and places like that, where the writing on the walls appears to be Colburn. And Alan Wilson translated quite a lot of it back in the 90s. And we got people like Lee Pennington. Jim Michaels unfortunately passed away, sadly missed. We got people on that level. So that's going to be very exciting because that does tie in more with the migration. And the other thing, finally got some feedback from someone saying, yes, they have seen some cave drawings in Peru and Bolivia. And they didn't know anything about the requests Alan Wilson's been making for years now. Because they're trying to show that the migration actually ended up in Peru, Bolivia, and became the Aztecs. And a bizarre theory, which just can't help spring into your mind, is this idea that, like, you know, the comet which caused so much devastation around about 572, and, you know, destroyed a lot of this British civilization, which is why we can't see so much of it now. If you follow that path from Sweden across Britain, the comet devastates into Bolivia and Peru. So isn't it interesting that the migrations ended up there? So there we go. What else we got there? We could do with getting pictures of the copper scrolls from Qumran. Yes. Good call, Chris. Chris Wood, if you get some more pictures on that, please. Oh, I got someone. Everything all right? Oh, yeah. Just ready to sort my children out. What have we got? I recently read a book about the emigration of Welsh Mormons to Salt Lake City and how they looked for the Madagois tribe, related to Madoc. Well, please tell us more about it, Johnny, when you get through that book. Thank you, Johnny Nigma.
Should I play something else?
Oh, yeah, we'll have some play-out music as well. Are you going to play Zav, or is Arnie going to... I think Arnie's going to play this one. Oh, yeah. Oh. Right, there's so many messages. Right, what have we got, Jen? I want to read a few of these first. David Church, well-named David Church. Don't forget, Augustine was sent to convert the pagans because the Roman Catholic Church at the time believed all British church Christians were not real Christians because they were not Romans. Yes. Right, now, brilliant question. Because the other book I'm working on at the moment, I know people have been waiting for ages and keep asking about Britain's hidden Christianity, which is almost there now, okay? It is almost done. And the reason that leapt out at me is because you're reading there that rather than the Romans not thinking the British were real Christians, you could argue the opposite. They knew they were the real Christians. And the problem was that it predated the Roman version. So they had to be eradicated. So in many ways, Clovis is a wiping out of the Christians in Gaul. And then later on, the attacks on Britain. Even Paulinus, when he did his lightning raid on Ynys Môn, Anglesey. That could be seen as ways of trying to suppress British Christianity. Oh, there we go. So David Church has mentioned that as well. Thank you, David. I think you'll love this book. Thank you, darling. All right, David again. Here we got this. Oh, hello, Monica from Germany. Hello, thank you very much. Who's this? We worshipped Cernunnos. Cernunnos is a modern invention and deliberate confusion with Sir Gawain. I don't know about that one. Thank you very much. It's in one of the Wilson and Blackett books. All right, I'll have a look for that, Monica. Thank you. Yeah, I'll also do some more Wilson, King Arthur soon as well. And please, I'll try and keep going with the Arturius Rex videos during the week as well. So you can see it's busy. Lots going on. Yeah, Cernunnos. Yes, I am aware of Cernunnos, actually. It's slowly coming back into my brain. All right, so if anyone's got any questions, now's your last chance to put them up. I want to talk about just quickly the notes, which I haven't got through. I got pages of notes this week. There was so much stuff. I have mentioned the raffle. I know the boys are very excited about the raffle. It said pending last time I looked, so I have to put the link up soon.
What Purple Haze is?
Purple Haze, yeah, it's Jimi Hendrix guitar solo. What's Purple Haze? Looks like there's a gap in Arnie's musical knowledge I need to fill in. It's electric guitar. I played you a bit of Jimi Hendrix. He's that one who twangs the strings and all that kind of thing.
Oh, your cake.
My cake is gone now. Bring on Arnie Hendrix, Purple Haze. All right, I'll tell you what, we'll work on Purple Haze for next week, Arnie. If you can play that, I will be impressed. You could. Hey, do you want to play that March of the Devon, or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
But hang on a second, though, because I have to just cover the things I haven't covered off yet. I'm going to have to do another show in a week or something because there's so much to talk about we didn't get to. So Jesus in the Pennines, if anyone knows anything about that, please. The Patreon offer, oh yeah, we've got some, and with the people who order Cymroglyphics, you get these rather funky bookmarks. And patrons are going to get a special one as well. Here we are, isn't that quite cool? So you can just put those in your books. And it's got, and actually says Cymroglyphics. And this was amazed me because they're publishing a book in America with Stephen Pidgeon and Keith Seifer, so I hope they're watching this. And they wanted me to translate Cymroglyphics into the word Cymroglyphics to put it on the cover, which I never thought of doing. Why didn't I think of that? Because it works out amazingly. Because when you go through the hieroglyphs, it reads as, check this out, right? Check this out. This freaked me out. This is when you start to think there's a higher hand at work here. Oh, you go, I've had a discussion about guitar songs and Hendrix hits. All right, I'll play you the Hendrix stuff, right? So Cymroglyphics, you can see the pictures on screen. So you got the little chick there, which is faithfully. And then, so that's Q. And then you got Cymro. Anyway, rather go through it all now. It's been a long show. Faithfully set forth to proclaim the beautiful and illuminating writing, and so succeed in interpreting the messages with certainty. How freaky is that? That's what Cymroglyphics can be represented as in the cartouche. It sent a tingle down my spine, that did. I drew it first, then I translated it. Faithfully set forth to proclaim the beautiful and illuminating writing, and so succeed in interpreting the messages with certainty. And I made up that word, Cymroglyphics, so there you go. Right, what else we got on the list? Oh, yeah, caption contest winner, please come forward and claim your prize. I was going to put that up again, wasn't I? I think I'll do another caption contest as well. It's good fun.
What was the prize for that one?
Well, free copy of the book. And also you'll notice in the Cymroglyphics book, your name is credited in the cartoon. It is in the cartoon credited. Don't forget Thursday, 8 o'clock, Andrew Johnson. Please, please, please. I'd like a big audience for that. I want comments. I want questions. I want to make Andrew feel really welcome. He has watched some of our stuff before. I've been in touch with him for a while. Jimi Hendrix is supposed to have slept on an island in Roath Park Lake in Cardiff. So there you go. I like the last bit of the show because the ancient history doesn't necessarily end there anymore. What else we got? No, I think that's the main thing. Yeah, the two ships barrel. Thank you very much to Bob Morgan. We are going to be doing more stuff about the fort in Ireland, which is not Roman. It could well be British. Sutton Hoo treasure. There's loads of stuff. It's a really busy time. All help, really very much appreciated. Come forward, the Welsh speakers. And yeah. All right, Arnie's keen to go. Great. He's got the hat on. And he's ready to play. That's all you're going to have, Arnie. That's a little bit of play us out. So the truth will out, says Harry Lonsdale. Yes, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for William. Oh. Wow, very good, Arn. Well done. North Star, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm amazed every week how many people turn up, and it just keeps growing and growing to keep spreading the word. Till next time, peace to everyone.
Grazie.
Hello. I'm going to try this really cool thing when I do this now.
Ciao.
Did that work? I bet it didn't.
Let me have a look.
It did work. Yay! I'll leave the comments on for a little bit longer, all right? If you hang around. Oh, we're still recording. I will. I'm being attacked. I'm being mobbed by the children who missed out. You missed it, boys. Unlucky. I will put. We still have, believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, there still are 1 or 2 copies left of St. Patrick's Rock. Somehow, amazingly, there are still a couple of copies left, so please buy them. Help me out, help Paramount. It's fantastic. Where's he gone? I can't find it on here. Hang on. Oh, the cat's here now. So hang on a second. I will put some of that on because I can see there's so much chat going on. I hate to just turn it all off straight away like that. No, I can't find the music. Where's the music? It's easy on here normally. This is where it all falls apart now. It's so professional, isn't it? Do you think? Hello, Bob's still there. Hello, Bob. Hang on. But Bob's Bob waving. Sorry, I didn't get to do it. Bob, you got a chance to say goodbye, all right? There you go. Just quickly, there we go. There we are. There's a goodbye from Bob as well. Goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from me. Him. I don't know how to end this thing. How do I end it, Bob?
It's there in the corner. End.
All right, so I can end the call there so Bob can relax a bit. Hang on a second. End meeting for all.
Goodbye, Bob.
Oh, bye-bye, Bob. Right. I'm trying really hard to find the music. Come on. God, it's all going so well. It's looking so professional, isn't it? Look at that. It's gone to pieces now. I'm blaming you, of course. Ba-bom, bom, bom. No. It's disappeared.
Offices.
There's usually the music folder. It's got its own little St. Patrick's Rock folder.
Try this one. Offices.
That's Alan talking, which is pretty good. Thanks, son. You keep going on. Thank you for all the lovely comments. Thank you, everyone. It's wonderful.
Jerry, what are you doing? Oh, Griffith, yeah, say yeah.
Hey. All right, no star, Paul.
Grazie.
Unplug.